So, Adar, how long will it take for you to ramp up production to 200 million doses per month? Because that's been an initial target, hasn't it?
No, well, it was always about 100 million doses per month. And I think by the third or fourth quarter of next year, we'll get there. At the moment, we're at a capacity of around 40 to 50 million doses per month. We've started production and stockpiling already. And, as we ramp that up, and I'm dedicating a third facility also to do it. So we'll get to about 100 million doses per month, which I think will be more than enough, given that there are other candidates and other manufacturers also who are going to start supplying from the second and third quarter of next year. So that's when you're really going to see a lot of supply coming into both in India and the world, second, third quarter of 2021.
Why is the deal with Codagenics to develop another vaccine candidate important for you?
Well, it's very important because it's going to be a nasal vaccine. And as we all know, nasal vaccines are going to be very easy to administer. You don't need all those trained medical staff to do it. It's going to be cost effective. And most importantly, it will be, because it's a live attenuated vaccine, probably one of the most powerful vaccines, giving you that long-term immunity that we talked about earlier, because it's the whole virus. It's not these subunit protein vaccines where you just have part of the coronavirus, stuck onto something else. This is going to be the full virus, and that's why we hope that that'll give you that long-term immunity. So that's why we bet on that as well. In addition to all these candidates, of course, that's going into a phase 1 in the UK by the end of this year. And then, we'll do another phase 3 perhaps in India later on. So that's why that's going to come last, probably Q4 of 2021.
And ultimately, going forward, would patients or just normal people need to vaccinate themselves using different drugs for the best solution?
Very good question. I think at the moment, what the health experts have recommended is that take whatever the safe and efficacious vaccines are available at the moment, because getting the disease is far worse than, getting that 50, 60, 70% protection, and then wait to take another shot and a booster. And we're going to have to do some trials, I must clarify, to show that it's okay for you to take another vaccine maybe a year later. And there is already talk of some studies where they're going to do a trial with multiple different vaccines being taken over a period of time by the same patient, and there should be no safety complications on that. So maybe yes, to answer your question, in a year you could try out and take a second vaccine as a booster shot, depending on whatever is the best thing at that time. That's what I would recommend, and certainly not wait for those vaccines to come about, because that could be 6 months or a year. And you don't want to put yourself in harm's way during that period, and you should take whatever is safely licensed by, India and the UK in the interim period.
And a lot of people want to know about the Serum Institute. What is the Serum Institute doing to guarantee the safety and quality of your vaccines produced? It's life and death what you produce. How do you ensure that that standard is maintained?
Well, as you know, that most of our vaccines are administered to newborn babies. So you can imagine the level of safety in our manufacturing and our processes and our quality assurance that goes in. Like the BCG vaccine is given on day one of a baby being born. So you can imagine how safe and perfectly okay these vaccines are. Having said that, of course, new vaccines with new technologies have to go through trials. The advantage with the Oxford AstraZeneca platform is that it's a time-tested platform. The chimp adenovirus has been used for the Ebola vaccine and other things in the past for many, many years. That's why I'm so confident to start with, to comment on that vaccine safety, to be, 100%.
And a final couple of questions. Can you tell us about the team that you have at the Serum Institute that's getting ready to ramp up production of the vaccine? I mean, you take the decisions, but then there's an entire team. And what exactly are they doing with regard to Covishield? Could you describe what it is that they're doing?
Well, a mixture of things. At the moment, now we've already gone into, as I mentioned, full-scale production. Initially, the team was designing and rejigging the facilities so that we could handle this technology, and we sacrificed some of the products we were going to launch in Europe and the United States for this by 2 or 3 years. till my new facility comes up, which is a dedicated facility for COVID. So we were rejigging all of that, ordering a lot of equipment, finding ways to get it quickly installed and validated, and then going into production. And these are guys who have been doing this for, we've got people in our team who've been working for 30 years in Serum Institute. So highly experienced, highly dedicated, loyal staff, without which, we wouldn't have been able to do any of this. And I'm so grateful to them because, my decisions today wouldn't have been implementable if it wasn't for their efforts and their expertise to be able to execute these huge projects, which I'll show you sometime over here when you come and visit Serum to get an idea of the scale at which we're operating at, which is, as you know, the largest in the world.
So that brings me to my final question. And it's related to my first question, as you may imagine, because people want to know about time. And you've mentioned that it's not in my hands, it's what the government has to say, the trials need to finish, it needs to be, there needs to be a peer review. So let's talk about that peer review of data in the United Kingdom. How long would that take?
So let's split that question in two. If we don't go for an emergency licensure, our trial should be over by December, and then we could maybe launch in India in January, subject to the UK trial also being completed, which it's on the verge of being completed. The second part of that question, the answer is that if the UK in the next 2 weeks were to unblind their study and share the data and be confident that it's safe, then we can, after 2-3 weeks, apply to the Indian regulator to look at a possible emergency licensure if that's what the government of India wants. That review could take another 2 to 3 weeks, I imagine, and then you can have a vaccine by December. But all these things would have to happen. And I don't want to venture a guess whether that would happen or not happen, because it's not my place to do so. That's for the health ministry officials and the experts to decide.